Thank you so much for taking time out to have a chat. Obviously, we're here to talk about Survive, which is screening at FrightFest, in about a week. It's the 25th anniversary of FrightFest, so it's kind of like it's one of the big landmarks of the festival. How does it feel to have a film screening?
I'm just so excited. I mean, I was over the moon when I heard about the announcement, and yeah, I can't wait to see the other films as well there. I mean, I've seen the selection. I'm just very lucky, I feel, to be a part of this, and yeah, can't wait to go.
And how have you been describing Survive to people?
It's a tough one. I think, especially in France, where genre films are not really a thing. It's kind of yeah, it's like a very small part of French cinema. So, especially there, I tend to say that it's a sort of like indie genre film, where sure you get like, I don't know, like crabs and meteorites falling and that kind of stuff, but it's also primarily about a family trying to make it and protect their loved ones. So, I think there's really both aspects of the film that are just kind of equally important in the balance, I think.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about the character that you play, Cassie, and what it was about her that made you want to play her.
Hmm. So I think so. Cassie is basically the eldest child in this family of four. So you've got the mom, the dad that are brilliantly played by Emily Pigeon and Andreas Pichman. And so I'm the other sister of Cassie, and I've got a little brother. And basically, a little family holiday kind of turns sour when there's an inversion of the magnetic poles. And so I think Cassie, what's really interesting about her is that as a sort of as a teenager, she's at the start of the movie, she's got that sort of youthfulness about her. She can be a little bratty, she fights with her brother. And then throughout the film, because of what happens and the sort of basically the worst that could happen to mankind kind of just happens, she has to really toughen up and be there to protect her little brother, to support her mother as well. And yeah, I think it just, she's got a lot of, she's got a beautiful arc. And I really like the fact that ultimately it's about protecting the ones you love. So yeah.
Yeah. And there's quite a lot of these sort of, survival situational thrillers in the world. You've got um films like Fall or 47 Meters Down, but these tend to place the characters into, one impossible situation. In Survive, this family gets, so many obstacles, thrown at
Mm.
them. How do you, as an actor, kind of go about portraying this sort of like constant evolution of the threats without, it veering too much into just, like silly hysterical territory?
For sure. They go through a lot. It's actually crazy how much they have to go through. Um, I think there's multiple facets to it, but I think what was most important to me, at least when acting and on site, was just kind of taking it step by step. Because in the script, for example, it's written like it's important they run down this hill or they climb up this mountain and they whatever. And because it's so much based on action, it's really about the sort of immediate circumstances of what you need to do. So like that hill needs climbing for the characters. You're just gonna go and run. And I think in a survival situation, there's a lot to do with the sort of you don't really think that far ahead. You just do things one step at a time to survive. And when more stuff happens, I think it just becomes about more about just keep moving forward and not think about the past and just kind of keep doing that. So I think it was very much like that on set as well, where it was very challenging at times, the circumstances, very physical. So ultimately, yeah, I think hopefully we didn't go too much into the hysterical thing. I don't think so, but yeah, but I think it's really about just that idea of yeah, you keep moving forward, and then I think yeah, if I may have a little digression, what I like is actually a moment in the film where we pause and take stock in the plane. And I think
Yeah.
that moment is really important in the film because it allows for this sort of transition of like, okay, we've just lived through that, and what are we going to do now? And it's good to have this beautiful moment to be able to, for the characters to process their emotions about what just happened and to deal with big um, concepts such as grief and how do you move forward with grief. And what do you do when you're very uncertain about even the future and what that will look like if you survive? So, yeah, I think it's good to have that as a sort of yeah, checkpoint, I think, in the film.
Mm. And one of the other things that I think is great in the film is there's several moments where the family wander past, piles of plastic or, drums of toxic waste. And they're not necessarily, the family doesn't necessarily gather around and have a big conversation about, oh, what's this doing here? But, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it does still present, a startling commentary about how, mankind is treating the world, is treating the oceans. Are you hopeful
Yeah.
that, just watching, Survive might open, a few more people's eyes to, the plight of the planet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what was so striking when we saw the set was just being struck by the sort of immensity of the landscapes and how beautiful it was. And then in the middle of that, you get like plastic chairs and waste everywhere. And the sort of stark contrast between the beauty of the landscape and the sort of ugliness of the pollution that was there. I think just visually, it creates this sort of very unsettling atmosphere where you can't just like sit back and enjoy the movie like, oh, they're, running but through beautiful stuff. So visually, it's just really nice to watch. Instead, it just counterbalances that and adds this really disturbing element, which I think, yeah, kind of makes you at all times question, like, oh, what is this doing here? Why is there like a container here full of junk? And why is there, so I think the audience can't just slip into that sort of enjoyment mode of the landscape. It actively challenges the viewers at all times. And I really do like that.
And from looking on IMDb, this is one of your first credits. What did
Mm-hmm.
you learn making Survive that you'll perhaps take going forwards with your career?
Mm. Yeah, it's actually my first feature, so I was very excited to be a part of it. I think what I learned about most, well, I think I learned a lot from working alongside this just really talented cast of Inigi and Amayas, who are just actors that I really admire. So I think acting wise, I've learned a lot from them. And I think it's also about just kind of viewing, I guess, a feature film, especially when you're going to have so many days of shooting, like a bit of a marathon where you have
Yeah.
to preserve yourself emotionally, especially in a film like that called Survive, where literally the stake is, I don't know, 100% all the time. So you're always fearing for your life all the time. Just, yeah, it was very interesting to be able to find that sort of idea of how do you preserve yourself emotionally, but also give it 100% or 150% to make it, like work. So, yeah, and I love genre movies. So I think, especially if I want to carry on doing genre films, it'll be really something to keep in mind. I think that balance of like, how do you kind of do film like that without traumatizing yourself, I guess, emotionally?
Yeah, it's always something that, concerns you. You see a film like, I don't know, like Scent Maud or something where it's, this woman's mind slowly unraveling and you kind of go, how do you go home and leave her at the door? It's
Mm-hmm.
quite a skill. So,
Yeah,
uh,
all things considered, running away from crabs is not the worst that could happen.
it's true. But do you feel maybe, in some way you have got a bit of preparedness now? Have you got that sort of survivalist instinct having lived through a film like this?
A survivalist instinct. I don't know about that because my character doesn't have a very good survivalist instinct. I won't spoil it too much, but at some point she does make a mistake that kind of threatens her family and stuff. So I don't know. I feel like thankfully my character is very protected by her mother, and there's more of that idea of like toughening up, I suppose, to almost just be the one to help her mother at a time, for example, where the mother is not being well, she's not able to take care of her daughter. So that sort of reversal is interesting, but I think it's just about yeah, the sort of maturity change for the character. So yeah, I don't know if I would survive in the desert for any kind of length of time if you put me there, but yeah.
And finally, with with Fright Festers, they're currently working out their schedule. Why do you hope that they take a chance with Survive?
Why do I? Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why do you hope that Fright Festers take a chance with Survive? Working out.
Mm. Um, why do I hope that's gonna be it? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
But why do you hope that people take the time to watch this film? What
Oh yeah,
what
to
do you hope
watch it.
they could get?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it's just a bit of an oddball film where it just I don't know presents something really original in the sort of genre film about I don't know, working with just like real landscapes and just shooting on location and having something that visually I think is very odd. I've not really seen films that have this kind of strange aesthetic. So I think I hope that people will go into it kind of curious about the sort of novelty of it and also the multicultural aspect, which is very dear to me as a multicultural person. Like I was born and raised across different cultures. And so I really like the fact that we have projects that are emerging like this, where characters get to speak different languages, and it's fine with audiences that are going to, watch the characters speak English at some point, and then shift to subtitles for the French bits and go back to English. So I think there's a lot of novel things about it that I'm very excited about, and that I hope will encourage more audiences to discover more international genre films as well, and just a diversity of films. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wish you best of luck with the screening.
Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.